Since I know that, I'm going to move the 8y and the 9 over right away and just put in my plus blanks. So I have x squared minus 2x plus blank equals negative 8y minus 9 plus blank. Okay? From there, I'm going to go ahead and complete the square. I'm going to take half of negative 2. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. When I square that, well, that's going to drop in my term. I square it, I get a plus 1 to both sides. So my new right side becomes negative 8y minus 8. I'm almost done. I have to be able to get that p-value out of that. Remember, whenever you have to complete the square style, in order to get it into the h and k style, you have to factor out whatever the leading term is of y, no matter what. You're not factoring out just 4, you're factoring out that entire value. So in this case, I'm going to factor out the negative 8. So I have x minus 1 quantity squared equals negative 8 times the quantity y plus 1.
Oh.
I thought you were winding up there. I'm sorry. Now I know my. What's that?
That sounded bad. Like my hand hurts from that.
You got sympathy pains.
I'm like really red now.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
At least you don't run on your hands.
Right?
Right?
I probably do.
My kids were doing that yesterday. They were trying to walk on their hands. So they were running around, just jumping up and falling over all the time. It's funny. So that means negative 8 has to equal 4p. Therefore, my p-value is?
Negative 2.
Very good. So negative 2 is our value of p. Now we know the direction that this is going to go. Which way is it going to go? Good. It's going to open downward. So we go ahead and start it. Our vertex is going to lie at 1, negative 1 for the h and k. My p-value is always going to be the distance from the vertex to the focus. In this case, I know it's got to move downward, so I just move that down 2 spots. So my focus now is going to be at 1, comma, negative 3. So vertex is here, focus here, and then the last thing I put in is my directrix. The directrix always goes the opposite direction. So instead of going down 2, I go up 2. Is it horizontal or vertical line then? Very good. And the equation of every horizontal line is?
Y.
So y equals 1 is our directrix.
Can you do 20?
We all right then?
It's a class. Yeah, we're not. I didn't graph it.
Yeah, it's.
He wants to do graph
Oh, I probably should have said that. Yeah, if you just wrote it into the standard form, it's not the end of the world. Normally, what'll happen is I'm going to have you guys classify and graph everything, label parts. So if you didn't do it last night, it's not the end of the world. We will continue to revisit this every time we come back to 10.6. What do you got one on this one or? Oh, let me grab Abby. She was go first, and I'll get you, and then I'll get you. Then just roulette. So, what one?
28.
28. You.
I don't know. Just like then when I got to the graphs, it didn't make sense. So I questioned.
Because you get to deal with fraction.
Yeah.
And trust me, all you have to do is understand that you're just adding it to your h or to your k value. So in this one here, we have a y squared parabola, which means it's going to go left or to the right.
Oh.
In this case here, what direction is it going to go? You can probably tell right away. Correct. We know it's going to go to the right. So all I have to do here is I get a vertex at 4. Oh, notice that I almost screwed up there. Negative 2 and 4. Remember, your h value is out of the x, your k value is out of the y. Yes, be very, very careful. So we have h and a k, negative 2, and positive 4. I know it's got to go to the right. The 3 is playing the role of 4p. Yes, ma'am?
So if we do that on a test, like, will you like mark the whole thing wrong, or?
It probably gives you some points.
Here's the thing. Let's say you made the dumb mistake, like I almost did, but yet you did every other part correct. All of your ordered pairs matched out. You know what you're doing. You just made the dumb mistake. It's not like killing a puppy. So here, 3/4 is the value of p. So now it's a positive 3/4, so all I have to do is add that to the -2, because I'm moving to the right. So now if I have my focus and I move it over 3/4, what's 3/4 more than -2?
-2.
1 1/4.
Yeah.
So my focus would be at, because all I'm doing is adding this value to the x because it's going towards the right, would be at -1 1/4, comma 4. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if it's like the y squared equation, then you add it to like the x value, you add the p or the p to that. Makes sense?
Yes.
And then if it's the x, then you add it to the y value. Okay. Just making sure.
And then now the directrix would be behind it, so I would subtract 3/4 from it. So the directrix would be a vertical line at x equals -2 3/4. Again, in this case is perfectly fine if you want to use a mixed number because you're not doing any math with it. Okay? You're only just writing it as value. It's not a big deal because you're not doing anything else of any consequence. Okay? Okay, just because you have a Packers shirt on, I might as well still help you.
60.
That's too hard. I don't want to do that one.
So I feel.
So for y squared, defining focus, it's x plus p, right? And then focus.
So we have a y-squared parabola.
Wait, what is that?
So I'm going to go ahead and group my y-squareds on one side and my x's and the constant on the other. So in doing so, we get y squared minus 20y plus blank is 2x minus 94 plus blank. You okay with that? Usually what I've seen with students in this problem, they write it as y squared minus 2y and they put 20x on the other side. They think it's backwards because most of the other problems go right in a row. Just be careful to read that, okay? So now I take half of 20, or -20, excuse me. So half of -20 is -10, which drops to my parentheses. I square it, I'm adding 100 to it.
10.
So I get y minus 10, quantity squared, is 2x plus 6. Which means I get to factor out the leading term coefficient, which is 2. Very good. So I have y minus 10, quantity squared equals 2 times the quantity, x plus 3, which now gives me a vertex at -3 and positive 10. And what do I have to set 4p equal to?
2.
Very good. So 4p is playing the role of a 2, so p is 1/2. Did your hand feel better yet? I was worried about it. You're welcome. Now I'm not worried. It was a fleeting moment. -3 and 10. Y squared parabola, p-value is positive. Which way do we go?
Right.
To the right. So what's 1/2 more than -3?
3 and -3.
-2.5. So the focus would be at -2.5, comma 10. The directrix would be at x equals -3.5. You write 3.5, 3.5, bless you. Either one's fine.
So you don't worry about that y next to the 20 then?
The which one?
The y next to the 20? And the y squared?
No,
Minus 20y?
we did. We rewrote it here, just like we were grouping before. Let me just complete the square right out of it. So we took half of the -20, squared it, and we completed the square.
Okay.
Because what times what's positive 100, you have to go to -20, -10, and 10.
Okay.
We have Michael's first now.
I just had a question on, so we weren't supposed to just classify these, we were supposed to.
I didn't tell you to graph it. If you just classified it, it's cool. If you wrote, I'm assuming you just wrote it in standard form then?
Yeah.
And that's cool. If you did that, that's fine. It's not a big deal because you had other ones that were graphing.
Are they all supposed to be parabolas?
Yes.
Alright.
I didn't give you, because I haven't taught you anything about ellipses or hyperbolas yet, because there's subtle differences to how those show up. Yes, ma'am.
I just had a quick question. For 38, it, y squared, it has a, like, it's 2 y squared, so we like back
Yes. Which one was it, 38? Yeah, watch what happens here.
Which one is this?
So we start moving stuff through.
Okay, I have a question.
Before I complete the square, what's my first rule?
You gotta raise.
Factor out a 2. Now, if I take out a 2 out of everything, is that okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You do that and then you go for it. Okay?
I just took a 2 out of one side.
You should take it out of both. Because what in essence you can do here, if you really start to think about it, is that right off the bat, you can take 2 out of everything and just rewrite it as y squared minus 4y minus 2x plus 5. Because it
Okay.
equals 0, see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's already equaling 0, you don't have to worry about
I got
it, okay? Yeah.
So then you just get rid of the 2 then after you,
Yeah,
Forever.
because remember, when you have that 2 factored out, since it's equaling something, since this is all being multiplied by 2, how do you undo multiply by 2? Multiply by half or divide by 2. So what's 0 divided by 2?
0.
That's why the factor can go away.
okay.
All right. Do you need me to finish that? Yes, ma'am.
Which one? 44. Great, these are all the ones I don't.
Don't have to worry about the complete square, or excuse me, about a GCF here at all. I can go ahead and move my stuff to the right and put in my blanks. X squared minus 4x plus blank is negative 16y minus 17 plus blank. Bless you. Go through the process. Half of negative 4, negative 2, drops to the parentheses. Square it, I'm adding 4 to both sides. Well, that's a nice fraction it gives you.
Yeah, that's what that's.
But you just use your calculator, it'll give you the value. That's it. So you get negative 16y minus 13. Now, obviously you have to factor out the negative 16. No problem.
Okay, this is what I.
So you have x minus 2 quantity squared equals negative 16 times y plus 13 over 16.
It's like,
And that's fine.
And it's negative 4 for the P.
Right, and it's okay, because what happens now, you still get your p-value, your 4p equals negative 16, so p is negative 4. It's an x squared parabola, so what direction is this going to go when p is negative? Down. So you don't have to worry, I mean, big deal, you get a crummy looking fraction. Whoop-de-doo.
But then it,
La 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 la.
so how do you graph that, man?
I think so. So it's at vertex
it's at 2.
is at 2 comma negative 13 sixteenths. So that's a little bit less than 1. Here-ish. Whatever.
That makes me uncomfortable.
The idea here is that I labeled it. If I approximate it on a graph, is it close enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, this is going to open downwards, which means that my p-value moves this one down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a smidge less than 5. So in my calculator, all I have to do is, well, wouldn't it be negative 4 and negative 4 and 13 sixteenths if I'm adding those two together?
Yeah.
So my focus would be at positive 2 and negative 4 and 13 sixteenths. That's it. That's all you gotta write. Because you're going more negative, so we're just adding a negative to that negative fraction. Okay? When I go the other direction, what I would do in my calculator is take negative 13 sixteenths, and I'm going to add 4 to it. And you should get 3 and 3/16. Because is it 4, 3 and 16/16? Just think in terms of fractions. Doesn't 4 equal 3 and 16/16?
Yes.
So if I take 3 and 16/16 and I minus 13/16, wouldn't I get 3 and 3/16?
Yes.
That's it. So there's your directrix at y equals 3 and change. And that's all it is. Lisa, what were you going to say?
Never mind.
I'm hoping that it wasn't scary. The first foray into a shifted conic section. Because when we come back on Tuesday next week, we're going to spend basically the next 8 or 9 days dealing with just straight conic stuff. Okay. Sir, oh, do y'all want to? They just kind of hanging out. Wasn't sure. You got me worried. I'm not worried anymore.
631.
So make sure your names are on those. If you guys could staple those two together, it'd be great. Unless you just add it to it and just. Well, I doubt you fit it on one page, but.
Wait, I fit it on.
I fit it all on.
Or just staple it up on by my computer if you want to use it.
Wait, I was confused.
I know, and if you look at it, the military time is 1908, which is the same as the 1908. I heard that today. I'm like, those people and their crazy numerology.
It's so true though.
It's funny you ask. Because I talk about it.
Alicia, is the technical part of the test hard?
Yes, please. Well, you know what? I'm not superstitious or anything like that. For tomorrow, is that I have taken what I counted out to be. I've taken 5 problems. 3 of them are word ones. Now, the idea here with the word problem ones is that if you go back into the ones that we did the other day, I really went into multiple parts on many of them. These are whittled down to only a couple of pieces. It's the same basic styles, same ideas here. Still have to be able to identify what is it exactly that you're looking for. Whether or not you're going to use your calculator, you're going to use one other form, whatever. It's kind of what we talked about when I walked you through how to solve those problems again. Get your if there's intercept form, get your vertex, and there's your value of x, and it just matters substituting back in. What I want you guys to remember also is that there's a lot of times you guys really tend to overthink. I'm not lying. It happens all the time with the Algebra 2 class. It's different in a way that you have multiple means to solve stuff, and you're never quite sure what's my best way to go. Because sometimes there's one way that's better than another, but you might feel more comfortable in another way, and whatever. It's that you have to trust your first instinct and follow through on it. Don't overwhelm yourself with minutia that's thrown into word problems. I take a highlighter, take a pencil as you're reading important parts, underline. What is it talking about? What is it asking me to solve for? And then visualize it. Albeit, these are all curves. These are all parabolas, whether they're going up and down or the other way. Down then up, or something along those lines. It's the idea of what does it look like and what does it mean? Am I looking for a 0? Am I looking for positive values? Am I looking for a maximum? Am I looking for a minimum? Things like that. Do I know how to adjust and move my table around? Do I know how to adjust and find maximums and minimums in the calculator by finding the graph itself, just by messing with your windows? Some of these graphs are easier to find than others because some of the windows are all stretched out. You have to play around to figure that out. Just little things like that. It's the matter of just pick a method and go for it. Okay? I'm going to give these back to you, and we'll walk through a couple of them again, and that way we can have a little bit more. Oh, thank you. All right. Like I said, these things are already in. Yes, ma'am. There are no dumb questions.
Say, have that.
Yes, you're charging.
Look at that, -3.
About this yesterday, or I'm sorry, we talked about this on Monday. On that front page, the ones you screwed up was you didn't factor out. Oh, excuse me. When you factor out the x on number 2, it's got to be x equals 0 as well as 8 is the 0. The other one on here was killing of puppies.
I did that.
It's not something we want to do.
I know.
So remember, when you have a straight equation where you have something times jump squared equals a number, just divide out and take the square root. It takes 30 seconds. Okay. On 5 for you guys, we have the fractions of a third, a sixth, and a sixth. The very, very easy thing to do, and we talked about this the other day, when you have x minus 1 quantity squared over 3, 1/6 equals 5/6. Even if you're just thinking in terms of a 3-step problem, first thing I would do is subtract the sixth, and I get 4/3. Or excuse me, 4/6. 4/6 is 2/3. Then I multiply it by 3. Those drop, and I get x minus 1 squared is 2. X equals 1 plus or minus root 2. And you're done. Okay? It wasn't anything to try and freak you out. Some of you guys try to get the common denominator right away. You multiply everything by 6, and it took you forever. See how fast that is? I did 4. You overthought it, my friend. On 4, -3 times the quantity x plus 9 squared is 63. Divide by -3. X plus 9 quantity squared equals -21. Take the square root. So we get x equals -9 plus or minus I root 21.
Oh, sweet. I did that wrong. He still gave me points.
3 steps.
Actually, I had that right.
Do not forget simplifying with i's, conjugates.
That second one was really hard.
8 plus 7i over 3 minus 4i. Conjugate. Conjugate means basically you're multiplying by the exact same thing aside from changing the sign. So if it's minus between the two, I'm going to multiply it by a positive. If it's positive, I'll multiply it by minus. So I multiply top and bottom by 3 plus 4i. You FOIL it out. 24 plus 28i plus 21i plus 12i squared. The denominator, you will not have a middle term. You don't have a middle term anymore because it's plus 12i minus 12i.
Why is it 28?
It's 32.
It's 32i plus 21i.
Oh, I looked at the 7, sorry.
28i squared. 28i
Yeah, I
squared.
was so confused. Like,
Sorry. There we go. Is that better? Sorry about that. I got caught trying to go too fast. So I get 9 minus 16i squared. Okay? I squared equals what?
1.
-1.
-1. So this becomes 9 minus a -16, which is,
9 plus.
so it's over 25. You should not have any I values in the denominator. They should be gone. Up top here, you get 24 minus 28. That's how I simplify the I squared. -4. 32 and 21 is 53I.
Is that even the same? It makes so much sense. I
I got part of it right. I got
Now, that is the proper way to write it, the -4 up front. If you didn't do that, it's not the end of the world.
I didn't add it.
Six?
I just wrote squared. What's up? Ladies and gentlemen, come on.
If the 4 would have been like, I don't know, 5 or something, 0,
No. Because if they were all 5, if it was -5, 55, and 25, then I would take out a 5 out of everything. But since it's just, there's nothing in common, even if, and this is a good question, even if this was a -5, I wouldn't do anything. Because I can't do anything out of that 53. Okay? Yes, sir?
Can we do 6?
Damn
That one
it.
was simple.
You're going to kick yourself.
I know. I looked at it.
I did the right thing.
When I break apart the square root of -25, shh, ladies, please. I got that thing recording so we can hear. All they're going to hear is you guys talking. So please stop. Okay. Break this apart. That's I and the square root of 25. What's the square root of 25? So you get 4 plus I plus 5I. What's I plus 5I?
6i.
Oh my god.
I know. I messed that up too.
That's the answer.
It's okay.
I put 5i squared.
Are you multiplying anything?
No.
If it was X, remember how I said this? When you start combining like terms with I, you treat it like you would a variable. And just remember, if you do wind up with an I squared, it's -1. That's all you have to worry about. That's it. We talked about completing the square. What's the first rule of completing the square?
I'll divide by the
Nothing in, no A.
A has to be 1. A value has to be 1. We did the profit problem. Remember the profit problem they're looking at when you are above.
5i squared is 6i.
When you're above 0. In this case, the values worked out clean. You know how hard it is to find ugly quadratics that work clean? It's tough. This works cleanly because at 5 and 12, those are zeros. So if you include 5 and 12, you're not making any money. It's got to be the out.
So this one you just had to type in your calculator, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't
This
hear.
one you just had to type in your calculator, right?
Yes, ma'am. Next page. Most of you guys did, like we talked about earlier, on 11, most of you guys got 11 without a problem. To be honest with you, you threw it in the calculator and you walked through it. The one part was it asked you how many seconds would be above the ground for the second time. A lot of you guys just read it for the first time and you forgot about it. What goes up must come down. So to be honest, most of you guys did just fine on 11. Pure calculator. Yes, sir.
For 10, what goes into the 10?
5 is less than x, which is less than 12. Or 6 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 11.
Or between.
Yes, ma'am. What's that? Explain it.
I don't know how to put this in the calculator.
Because it was between what values? So you said 6 and 11 and 9. So I was pseudo lenient on that.
What was the answer to?
When it gets down to yes, ma'am.
I just, it's not like a problem. It's just like something that like I think happened with like you taking off points.
Get me in the end because I never screw up.
You never screw up.
You should know that by now. You've seen me for a year and a half.
All right.
Remember, on 12, what most people forgot, standard form of the equation is a x minus h quantity squared.
God dang it.
There it is. So that's why you get the right number. The parabola, what would you use the, what is it called, the matrix? You guys say fine, it's just calculator work unless you flubbed and hit the wrong button. And then we talked about this before at that back page. That back page when you're talking about your price and your income. You had $12 for the price. And the other one was the rentals. You get 45 of them a day. Bless you. But then you read on the internet where everything is true. I thought you guys would laugh at that.
I laughed.
I try to give you guys funny things during the test to make you laugh. I really do.
You made me smile.
I was so standard, then why do you have to do it?
If the internet's wrong, then the problem's going to be wrong. Then it's just
Your problem had 50-cent decrease in price, increased 3 rentals. This sets you up in what's called intercept form, which means you can find zeros real fast. You have a 0 here at 24 and a 0 there at negative 15. We do realize in this problem, if you FOIL it out, you have a negative x squared, which means it's going to be down like a frown. So I know that somewhere around here, there's the axis of symmetry, which entails that there is a maximum value, which means that x value is what I'm looking for. Negative 15 plus 24, cut it in half, you get 4.5 for your x value. Questions were, at what price is your maximum income? You put 4.5 into the price part, and so on. Yes, ma'am?
Where did you get the zeros?
I set those both equal to 0.
Oh.
As is the intercept. And that's how you walk through that one. Yes, ma'am? No. You're using 4.5 into the price, so you'd have to take, at what price? Well, that's not the price, it's just the x value. That's your multiplier.
Oh, so you have to plug that into that.
Yeah. And that's the push in the honors class that I give you. Not just find the value of x that makes it the maximum. That's easy, it's in the calculator. You cut it in half and there it is. It is what is the value, at what price you get your maximum. So it's pushing that little bit further to interpret what you have. And that's what these questions on the back side do. Yes, ma'am?
So would you put x in for the retail part or just like the 12 minus 0.5x?
The 12 minus 0.5, because you're looking for just the price.
Oh, so you don't put it in
Nope, it's not asking for the whole thing, it's just asking for the price. Yeah, it's asking at what price do you get your maximum value. Well, I'm getting my maximum value at, what is it, $9.75, I think? Yeah, my maximum, I will earn my most money if I charge $9.75. Okay? Stuff tomorrow, guys. I'm just leaving you with studying, okay? You guys got stuff to look at. If you go back into the chapter itself, in chapter 5, there is the chapter review parts. There's a couple of word problems sort of there. There's the chapter test part that's in the book. Also, there's a couple problems there. Take a little bit of look at it. I mean, I know I know there's a lot going on, but if you go back and think about the mistakes that were made, there's a boatload of dumb ones. So, let me grab Abby and I'll be right with you, okay? What'd you have, Abby?
So I got 2 things now. Okay, I got a question for these. Like,